Welcome to this internet TV show about rafting, kayaking stuff. And I'm here with my friend Aaron Cavignola, who's the guest host today. He's going to be hopefully the guest host on many more episodes. And first, we want to start off with a shout out to our friend Noel Frudnicht. What's up, Noel?
Hey, Noel.
Noel and Mr. Aaron Cavignola taught me how to be a river guide, so you have to blame them. And we're not going to go there quite yet. But Noel, thanks for leaving a comment on our last episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Aaron, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, Zach.
Yes.
I think we should talk about something very important.
All right, what is it?
And you've probably covered it before, but it never hurts to revisit this topic.
Okay, what is it?
Flotation and PFDs.
Okay, no, I've talked about it, but let's talk about it again.
Yes, and okay, so maybe you can recap for me, what are the main points that you've hit on so far?
It's one episode I talked about some different PFDs. I talked about the Stolquist PFD. I talked about the Astral PFDs, Lotus Designs. I did a kind of a comparison of them. And then another episode I talked about them a little bit. And I talked one thing about PFDs I talked about was whether you want high flotation or low flotation. And I think I'm convinced now that you want lower flotation, and not because some people are like, because you swim down below holes and pop out. I think that's ridiculous. But I think the case has been made to me that with lower flotation jackets, you have more ability to swim aggressively. And so the main thing would be having enough flotation, but the flexibility to do aggressive self-rescue. So I was always a high flotation person until somebody I trusted told me that, and it kind of changed my mind. So
That's interesting.
It was interesting to me too. So that's a recap of what what I've heard.
Because I'm totally on the other side. I'm all about high float.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't see an advantage of the low float. People say it's easier swimming, but I haven't really noticed the difference. I will say one thing I do know is like if you're on a big fat surfboard, it's way easier to paddle it than a little low float surfboard because you're deeper in the water. And with a big bulbous surfboard, you're on top more. And I feel like that with my high flotation vest, I'm sitting on top of the water and I can just cruise. Versus the low float, I'm down in the water, have way more drag. And I think it's all about drag in the end of the day. And in my mind, like when I'm suited up to swim, I want the least amount of drag possible. And getting on the surface gives me less drag. And you're in your little low float, I'm in my big jacket. We both fall in, we go underwater. Who's up first? I am. Yeah. And I'm swimming my ass to shore before you even know where you are, right? So high flotation's better there too. And it provides more padding and protection. You know, you get thrown into a pin or a clip or something like that, or an oar, and it gives you more padding there. So I've never seen somebody take a big swim and say they wish they had less flotation in their vest. And I've seen numerous people take a big swim and be like, I wish I had more flotation in my vest. Like people who like, boss, send out a new life jacket for me next week because this thing does not have enough flotation. And I thought I was going to drown. Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm kind of seeing both sides of this. I don't really know the answer. I think that when I like lower float jackets because they look cooler. Oh, heck yeah. Like all the kayak vests are like designed all sexy looking and cool. The high flotation are kind of dorky, and my look kind of matters. So but I also want to be safe. So I want the best looking jacket. So do you have a PFD in mind that you like? Because I don't think today you wore we went paddling today. No, and I did not have my high float. But I will say when I kayaking with a high float jacket, that's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. I feel like we're talking about rafting with a high float jacket. And then kayaking high float is really awkward, and I'm not a big fan of that. That being said, that kayaking vest that I was using today, you have that sleeve to put the extra flotation so you get a little bit more.
I actually brought that one up in my episode. It's the P vest by Lotus Designs.
Yeah, exactly.
I have the same one. Do you still have the little flotation pod? Okay, because they stopped making them.
Yeah.
You have to have that flotation pod thing. I don't have mine anymore.
You can make your own, probably.
Yeah,
you can cut up an old vest and just stuff in there.
I don't make my own stuff, personally, but that's because I'm lazy.
Going further, though, is like, the best high flotation jackets I know are super ugly, and that's one of the problems. And like MTI had the big buoy for a long time, which was amazing.
I think Dan got that one.
Dan, I had it. Yeah, I had it for a long time. A lot of people had them, and that was like, we don't want to talk about flotation. That had 26 pounds of flotation. That's like 16 pounds versus 26. That's way more. Yeah. And so, but they stopped making it, and then they made some other goofy one for a while. Now they've got another one that's back at the 26. Forget the name of it, but it's the equivalent of the big buoy. And I was looking at buying one of those, but then I bought the NRS with 22 pounds. And so. And that's the other biggest one really is the 22 pounder. And I feel like 22 is better, but it's not like the 26. I love that 26 pounder.
Yeah, I think one thing too is that your body type matters. You know, if somebody's 150 pounds and thin, they're probably cool in a 16 pound vest. I'm 220 pounds. I'm not small. I probably should have 22, 25, 26 pounds. So, and I know that when they size PFDs, the bigger ones have more flotation, but it would make sense for me to wear more flotation. And then there's people who are much bigger than me paddling, and they should have a lot more flotation as well.
Well, I'm gonna say I am 160 pounds, and I still like the 26 pounds of flotation.
Yeah.
Like in doing a lot of guide schools and a lot of swimming in guide schools, I'll say that extra flotation has always helped me.
Yeah, I mean, you are a water polo player, so you're probably one of the best swimming kayak or raft guides out there. So it doesn't matter what you have, you're gonna swim well. Like the average person, the question is, do you want the flotation to float more, or do you want the better ability to self-rescue? And you find the way because you're a strong swimmer.
I feel like you're better self-rescue with it too, with the higher flotation. Like I kind of want to do a little experiment, like in the field experiment. We put on different ones and we swim the same rapid multiple times and see what eddies we can get into. How often do we get sucked down by that eddy fence and pulled underwater?
We should.
Yeah, to get some better data. I'd be curious what other people think too.
So, and that's what's fun about the show, is we can have people comment below. I was exactly on your side of things until I had a discussion with a certain person who's a rescue professional like a month ago, and he convinced me that, you know what, maybe low float is actually better because you're better at self-rescuing. And what he was saying was commercial rafting guests, because they have these big bulbous vests, they just float until somebody gets them. They don't do enough aggressive swimming, partially because the big commercial vests are hard to do it in. They don't aggressively save themselves enough.
And I think that is a good point.
Yeah.
And I think that is a key point of emphasis is to aggressive self-rescue is the way to go.
So do you have a vest, I know we talked about it quickly, but is there one you say, this is the one that...
Well, I think MTI.
Okay.
I think the MTI. I think that the 26-pounder from MTI, in my mind...
Do you have one?
Not at the moment, because they just started making this again. But that was the problem. And they killed me because they stopped making it. And then I looked and I waited and I waited, and I had my old MTI for I was milking along. And then as finally I was like, dude, I have to buy a new one. So I bought the NRS one that had 22 pounds. And then immediately after that, they put the new one out there, and I was like, dang it, I just bought one. You know how cheap I am.
I know.
So I was like, I can't buy another vest, but I'm probably going to buy one. That's how bad it is.
Do you care enough about high float? Let's say you're guiding the Grand Canyon, which you do.
Yeah.
Or Cherry Creek even. Would you wear a customer vest?
Well, the customer vests have 22 pounds.
Those ones are...
They say 25 because of the pillow.
Okay.
The pillow has it, but the pillow's not doing you any good, you know what I mean? The pillow's only doing you good if you're underwater
but if you had to choose between the 16-pound kayaker vest or the 22-pound customer vest, which would you take?
Customer vest.
Because you think the flotation is important. Whether it's Cherry Creek, which is a steep 1,000 CFS river, or the Grand Canyon, big water, you think the customer
because like I said, Cherry Creek, I always had the theory hey, my head's going to be up above the water before yours, and I'm going to catch that eddy before going down that rapid.
Okay.
And I'd say those seconds matter.
Yeah, no.
And I'll say we had a guy who took a deep swim and he got his foot stuck on a rock in the bottom of the river. Mm-hmm. He was a big dude in a customer vest, but still, he went deep.
Yeah.
And I think about that more flotation, you're going to stay on the surface more. And most of the dangerous parts of the river are underneath on the bottom, not along the surface.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've yet to see someone. I'm waiting to see someone be like, oh, dude, that dude in that big high flotation, that guy in that high flotation vest, that totally smoked him.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in guide schools. I haven't seen that anywhere.
What I hear a lot from people who like low flow vest is oh no, it's important to me that when I get stuck in a hole, I can go down deep. And I think I'm calling bullshit. I don't think that's a thing. But I think that I do want a vest that I can aggressively, actively swim in, and I see some value to that. So I think a vest that is a combination of more flotation, more than the minimum, along with the ability to aggressively swim, the MTI one we're talking about, is probably a good thing that the industry should be making, and we as people who consider ourselves leaders, we should be bringing it up to people to say, hey, you should try thinking about more flotation, and here's why. Is that a good...
Yeah, totally. And we'll go one more little step with it. Yeah. One of the other key things I think about with those vests is, how you can adjust the shoulder straps? Mm-hmm. A lot of people pull those as tight as they can, and it sits up here. Yeah. Versus, and that makes it way harder to swim, and your flotation's higher on your body, versus if you push it down here, that flotation is underwater when your head's higher out of the water. Yeah. Oh, win-win, right? You can swim easier. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people don't even wear those vests right, especially the customers who wear them. Yeah. They always cinch them up to here, and then they're just...
It's just because there's the top things that don't get done a lot.
Where they pull them too tight.
Well, the person before them on the trip before had them tight, and nobody thinks to loosen them to drop it down.
Exactly. And I think that's a key part of outfitting those ones, is loosening that so it sits low, so they're the flotation stays in the water when their head's out of the water.
So this is a good discussion. I think those of you who are watching and have a say, like, we'd love to have more discussion on this. I think we're still debating and learning. I think we both agree flotation is really good. The question is, do you trade off some flotation for maneuverability in the vest? And love to hear thoughts, comments. If you think that a low float vest helps you go to the bottom of a hole, please make that comment and I will tear you apart because I think it's hilarious. Or maybe I'm wrong, but
maybe send us a link to a clip that shows someone. Give us some evidence.
Yeah, some evidence.
And not some kayaking bro run that's super steep, because we're talking about rafting right now. I feel like, and it's different. There's some of those kayaking runs with some of those gnarly holes. Yeah, maybe, but on a rafting run, yeah.
And then finally, the last thing, there's been a lot of chatter lately on the internet and Facebook and stuff about some people choosing not to wear life jackets. And I just think we need to, like, there's a kayaker back east, I guess, that was, like, not wearing a life jacket on runs.
Oh.
Kind of like free soloing.
Oh, there you go.
Like, let's make it harder. Let's up the stakes. And
does he go without a helmet too?
That's a good question, actually. That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
Or maybe he used to go without a helmet. That's what led him.
Yeah, and we both have seen a lot of boaters out there who are not guides and privates not wearing life jackets for whatever reason, and you should just wear a life jacket or a personal flotation device. We should all be wearing PFDs all the time. I have personally done dumb things before, like not wear a life jacket. Now I'm like it's a big deal. I think of the last couple episodes, I talked about the 3 biggest, most dangerous things on rivers are not wearing a life jacket, drinking, and cold water immersion, not having like proper warmth. And I just feel like we should always be wearing a PFD all the time. Do you agree?
Yes.
There's just no excuse.
Should be buckled up and properly fastened. Yeah.
And I think that's where comfort matters a lot. Like if you have a big, uncomfortable vest, you may not wear it on the Rogue in the flat water. Whereas if you have a cool looking one, that's a kayaker one that's super comfy, you're more likely to wear it.
Because you think you look badass in it, yes.
Because it's a good looking vest. Yeah. Like my new one's light blue, I think I look cool in it.
And you do, Zach.
Thanks. Yes. It has that pocket thing, that pocket that flops down, I can pull my chopstick out. So I think that there's something to be said, like we should be wearing vests all the time on moving water, just period. And I just want to reiterate, in some of the discussions they're saying, no, you do whatever you want, but no, we should, I think, and you agree.
Yeah.
And that's where comfort matters too, because people are more willing to wear them when they're more comfortable just on the boat. So that's something to think about too.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you have discussion, thoughts, please add a comment in the section below. But and thanks for joining me, Aaron.
Yeah, it was fun.
Looking forward to our next one. Next time we can sit down and do this together. And again, Noel, you're the man. Thanks for teaching me how to be a river guide. I love you, dude. All right, thanks.
Have a good. I think we should give a shout out to Noel.
Okay, cool. But I say we're giving a shout out.
Yeah, you can just say we are giving a shout out to Noel.
Okay.
Because I feel like.
All right.
I mean.